Yes. Good evening, members. A very warm welcome from Team Training and Education of ISLA. Today, since it's a Ganesh festival started in across the country, so we'll pray with this Lord Ganesha and start our today's webinar session. We are waiting just for 1 or 2 more minutes. Members are joining. Yes. So today, once again, a very warm welcome from Team Training and Education of ISLA. Today we are conducting our 39th webinar session in Gyan Ganga series of ISLA's Team Training and Education. Today we have called expert Mr. Deven Limaye for our webinar session. Mr. Deven Limaye has more than 30 years of experience in general management with Indian and overseas companies. As the managing director, Mr. Limaye is responsible for general management at Aryan on day-to-day basis. He is passionate about innovation and marketing at Aryan. Deven has formulated more than 10 systems, each designed for specific purpose to standardize most of the operation at Aryan. He is the authorized signatory to sign all NABL lab reports. Under his leadership, Aryan has assessed more than 10,000 structures in last 15 years. His other interests are like yoga and self-development. So today's our session is basically to help the surveyors to quantification of loss to be determined, for the possibilities of litigation foreseen, disputes with the clients in settlement of amounts, root cause of failure is not when not clear, we can take expert help from Aryan Structures, Structron Private Limited, involvement of structural expert from client side, verification of rectification measures, proportional damage caused by multiple causes is to be established, high value claims and verification of rectification cost. So here we have called Mr. Deven Limaye from the Aryan Structron Private Limited. I will request Mr. Deven Limaye to take today's session now.
Hi, my name is Deven Limaye. I am the Managing Director of Aryan Structron, and I am extending a very warm welcome to all of you in order to join this webinar on the auspicious occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi. So here I am. We are a firm which has an expertise in structural audit and structural evaluation, and we act as a sort of a technical partner to the insurance surveyors in order to give our technical opinion wherever there are claims involving any structure. So now we will just go ahead with the introduction to Aryan in a single slide. The laboratory of Aryan is accredited by NABL, which means that all the results that we give can be held valid in any third-party scrutiny, like arbitration or even in a court case. The range of instruments that we carry are multiple sets so that we are able to execute sites rapidly. We hold multiple copyrights and IPR. Our scope of services usually covers inspection, testing, supervision, which is for other clients. We are also able to give repair methodology, and we give stability certificates also for structures. The company is into existence and working since last 15 years. It was founded by my late father, who is Professor R.G. Limaye, who was ex-IIT Bombay. He was one of the pioneers of non-destructive testing for these concrete structures in India, importing one of the first instruments of UPV, ultrasonic pulse velocity, in IIT Bombay in the 1970s. We have a team of around 65 people, and we have multiple site teams working mostly all over India, and we do certain projects abroad also. We are already empaneled and registered with more than 25 organizations, which include government, semi-government, and private companies. Our laboratory is a full-fledged concrete testing lab. Our focus is on steel and concrete testing. The activity that is core to us is structural assessment on site with a specialized team which does the on-site assessment. Very few companies have structural site teams. Most of them have got material testing labs. Our focus is on-site testing and involvement. We usually do a few hundred assignments. The number has reached up to 600 now in this year. And the reports that we produce are unbiased reports because we have no interest or no involvement in any kind of manufacturing or in new design or in any construction activity, either directly or indirectly. So we are not bound by anything to influence our report. We have a strong in-house software and process so that we can handle a large volume of data quickly. Now we have made a new enhancement to our system because of COVID. We could not get most of the paper in the office. So we have gone completely digital. So the site data is directly entered on the mobile. It reaches our server from which the test reports are directly prepared and are getting digitally signed and being sent to the customer. So this innovation we had to do because of the COVID issue, and it has helped our clients and us also internally to optimize and also to give you the correct results on time. So that's a brief about Aryan. So whenever there is a claim which involves a structural damage, there is always some pressure from clients, insurance company, insurance brokers to give quick report. So there's always some pressure on the time frame. The second aspect is that surveyors usually do not possess expertise which is for structural analysis. The third one is that there are very few laboratories which are for structural testing, on-site tests which are under NABL. Most of the labs, as I said, are material test labs. Very few companies have large site testing teams. So if a large site has to be assessed, it is difficult for them to do so. Then there are multiple agencies who do quality, design review, schedule review. So coordinating with them is not easy. So it results in a coordination issue for the surveyor. So with Aryan, the surveyors get integrated services that we can review the entire design as per code and standard, that is if required for that particular claim. We have a large team for on-site testing. We have our own laboratory for concrete and steel test. We can review the construction schedule in case there is a loss, which is a claim involving usually ALOP. And we have a panel of experts, including geotechnical, marine, high-rise, steel design, all under one roof. So we are a one-stop shop which can give you the entire analysis. Let us see how we do it. Typically, what we have experienced is that the structures fail either because of fire, which damages some or one or more of the say parts of the structure, either leading to a repair or a rehabilitation. There could be a collapse of the structure because of say n number of reasons. There could be damage due to flooding. Flooding will usually damage the foundations, leading to structural damage. there are cyclonic winds. Like for example, there was a cyclone in Chennai, which has resulted in very high winds, which has caused damage to a few structures. Then underlying geotechnical reasons could also be a cause of the damage, which are usually seen for, say, tunnels, metro, certain foundations, and so on. So now we will directly go into certain case studies for some select few projects that we have done. We have done a lot more, but I've just selected a few of them so that you can get some idea of what kind of assistance you can get from us. This was a warehouse which was in South India. It was claimed that because of the cyclone, the entire warehouse needed to be reconstructed. But with all our tests, we could ascertain that the warehouse has undergone damage because of aging. So, and furthermore, reconstruction is not required and it can be repaired. Let's look at the next case study now. There was an entire wall of a hydropower plant which collapsed. And this was quite a high wall. I think it was some 12 or 13 meters high, which completely gave way. So again, our services were hired to find out what exactly was the issue. What we suspected was that the design itself is at a fault. So we established that the design itself cannot withstand the water pressure of a saturated soil. For the next claim, we were engaged to find out the defects in a cement plant which were claimed by the client during the construction against the contractor. Here we established that the concrete which was used in construction of the cement plant by the same manufacturer itself did not meet the required strength criteria. And second is the process used for reviewing the design of the plant as per the proper codes was not followed. So these were the two root causes which were established. Then we had to also check the estimation which was given to repair and all that. So that was a part of our assignment, which went into 2 or 3 phases and visits. This was a very unusual kind of a claim where a MS tank, which was quite high, maybe about 10 meters or so, was damaged by moderate wind, which was a bit surprising. And it got kind of this deformed like a coffee cup. As you press the coffee cup, what shape happens? It got deformed that way. So we were also quite surprised to see it. So we did some modeling of the tank, and then we established that the code which was to be followed at the time of erection procedure was not followed. So the erection sequence itself was faulty. That has resulted into this damage. So instead of a complete weld at the base, only tack welding was done, and then they have gone ahead into building the tank, and because of the wind it could not sustain and it shifted from the base, and that was the reason to get it deformed. So with extensive modeling we could establish that. So here again the execution sequence was faulty, not the material or not the design. There was another interesting incident where extensive repairs were claimed by the client, supported by the civil engineer appointed by the client, saying that so and so kind of strengthening has to be done. What we did is we tested the affected area of fire and also the unaffected area. So with that, it was proven that the damage is not because of the fire, it is something which the structure had an inherent condition which got exposed due to the fire. So accordingly, the claim has got settled later by the surveyors and the company and the client. So these are some of the say projects that we have done at different locations in India. These are related to hydro damage or water damage. These are some of the examples which are in general that we have seen for industrial tanks, roof collapses. Then there are certain other say defects like say cracks in concrete. There was a tilting of a oil storage tank. under construction girder collapse, a complete new, say, tower being built for the power transmission got collapsed. We had to find that out. There was another interesting case in Mumbai where there was a landslide which affected a residential building. Somebody had given an opinion that we should demolish and reconstruct. But when we went to the site for the survey, we found the verticality to be intact. So accordingly, a repair scheme was actually proposed, and at a very nominal cost, the building got repaired instead of reconstruction. These are some of the investigations that we keep doing for fire damaged structures. Here the issue comes that should we reconstruct or should we repair the structure? This is a typical question asked. Sometimes it is complete repair, sometimes it is partial repair, partial reconstruction, or sometimes it is complete reconstruction. But the whole thing is defined by a lot of test data and observations by which we are able to prove that whatever estimation or whatever scheme we are giving will stand any third-party scrutiny. So our typical investigation steps that we do is that initially whenever there's an incident, the surveyor goes to the site and prepares the initial survey report. That gives us some idea of the extent of damage, not complete. It is an initial survey report. After that, we do an initial assessment site visit because we need to find out what information is available with the client, what is going to be our scope, and so on, and what is the condition of the structure. So detailed, the initial assessment is done. Based on that, we have certain information that we seek. We have some initial meeting with the stakeholders. We have some queries for the client and so on. Then after that, a detailed investigation is taken up. Once the scope is ascertained, a draft report is submitted. And after multiple meetings with the stakeholders, a submission of final report is done. Usually what happens is that there will be a civil engineer appointed by the customer or the client or the insured also. So then they might have a different view, but our approach is that if the same input is provided, same process of logic is applied, it should get to the same output or the conclusion. That is what is the logical method we follow. We base everything on data. That is the approach that we take. So the initial information that we require, for example, is the project information, like who is the stakeholder, what is the site, where is it, what were the environmental conditions that time, is there any kind of meteorological data to support what kind of wind speeds they have claimed, any kind of press information that has come up during that time, and so on. So that gives us a general information of what happened at the time of incident. Second thing that we require is the initial survey report, initial damage assessment. If it's a fire, then what kind of stock was there? Was it inflammable? Was it not inflammable? And so on. And what was the weight or the volume kept? Then we go into the design aspect where we check the structural and architectural drawing. If any structural calculations were available, any design has to be checked, any geotechnical investigation report if available, and on what basis the external parameters can exceed the design input. Now, once we have this internal information, then we go in for an extensive design check if it is required. Now, all these things may or may not be required for a particular site. I am just giving you the general method. After that, the parameters affecting the structural behavior are also checked during the construction. If supposing the mishap or the accident or incident has happened during the construction, we also check whether the sound construction practices were followed. Then the quality of structural concrete and steel is checked. The compliance to design is also checked. The review of other test results is also kind of compared to correlate. We have to ensure that the test results correlate with each other and also do the observation so that it creates a holistic picture. We cannot interpret a test result in isolation. For example, a single test result is showing good value, but all others are, say, pointing that the values are poor. So we have to then find out whether it is a location-based issue or a specific area which was not affected and so on. So it requires a lot of correlation. And combining all this information, we go to the root cause analysis. So then we identify why this structural issue has happened. Is it because of a structural design problem or execution and so on? And what is the extent of damage? And based on the extent of damage, then we come to the rectification method, which is normally a BOQ of repair, or if it's a reconstruction, then a reconstruction estimate, which is done in detail with a takeoff sheet. So whatever quantities we have arrived at, it has a basis by the takeoff sheet. So it is not some summary value that we put. So anybody can check it with a drawing and with the quantification that we have done. So that everything is transparently clear, our report is submitted always to the surveyor, never directly to the insured or the insurance company. Surveyor then sees it, then analyzes it, then sees the inclusions, exclusions, and then has a discussion with the insurance company, and then further with the client. Our interaction is never with the insured directly. It is limited only to the site access, that's all. So the report that we give has usually got most of these areas, and depending on the site, it could slightly change. One is a executive summary of the report. This is the summary of the report along with the conclusion. This is like our summary letter. Most of the people read our summary letter, which runs into few pages, and they're able to understand based on what and how we have concluded. If they want some more information, they can always go to the annexures. So typically the annexures have one section of design where we do the design review, the sample calculations if they're required, if there are any input that we have to check like wind, wave, sound, groundwater level, whatever. If there is a requirement to do the foundation review, that is in another section that we put. We have also taken at certain site bore logs. Certain new bores were actually done to find out what was the actual issue with the soil strata. And because of the reason that we anticipated, was it right or wrong? So all those investigations are done. Then there's a review of the superstructure that we do, which is compliance to design with the visual inspection and so on. Then the construction methods are reviewed in detail, which is the schedule of construction, the SOP and so on. If the execution has happened in the correct way, is established by review of the test results of input materials. If there are any additional tests to be done, those are also taken into account. Then we come to the rectification. What is the cost and budget of rectification? If versus repair, what is the cost of reconstruction as an estimate? Then in certain cases, we are asked to recommend parties to do certain very specialized repair jobs. So as we do a lot of structural audits all over India, we have in our list very specialized contractors who could be also recommended for a very specific case. Then in certain cases, we do a general observation, and if required, we give certain precautions so that these incidents don't occur again. Then as a part of annexure, we give a complete project activity list of when the inquiry came to us, when the site was visited, all the dates, so that everybody is crystal clear on the timeline which has been followed. All the communication is attached. We give a CD. So nowadays CD is not being used much. It is always on the cloud. So we have access to a folder for people to download our reports and so on, which is a controlled access. The test reports, survey reports, minutes of meeting, everything is meticulously maintained so that it can, in case if there is any disagreement, all this helps the surveyor and insurance company to put forth their case very strongly. So what are the different kind of variations that we consider whenever we evaluate any structure? So first is, what is the type of structure? Is it a building, a shed, a port jetty, or a bridge or a tunnel, or a high rise, or it's a transmission tower, or a machine foundation? Is it a process plant, or is it a road which got washed away? Is it a flyover showing some cracks and so on? So one is a type of structure. Usually for environment, we basically classified as onshore, offshore, or it's marine. in terms of design, if it is a very critical design, like if it's a process plant, it follows a different design. If it's a residential simple building, it is simple. Then what is the type of construction material used? So here we have either RCC or steel, masonry, composite, or in certain cases, some specialty materials are used for which we need to do some special investigations. The foundation is also analyzed. Is it typically pile foundation, raft, or open foundation? Then we find out what is the incident type, whether it is fire, earthquake, explosion, accidents, floods, or a cyclone, and so on. What is the age? Was it under construction? Was it a fairly new structure? Or is it a fairly old structure? We have got structures which were 70, 80 years old also, and structures which have failed during construction also. So we have a complete range that we see here in our analysis. So common issues that we have noticed are as follows. In design, we have commonly seen that usually it may not be done for the worst case condition. It is somewhere it is optimized. Generally these things don't happen, so let us not take care of certain kind of factors. Then it is usually external factors are blamed for design shortcomings. This is also what we have seen. But if the design itself is not as per the code or as per the provisions of the code, it will not be able to withstand any external force, because design normally takes in 1 in 100-year events. But if it is 1 in 1,000-year event, it may not be able to take it. Then we also have issued the issue noticed with the construction quality was that economics takes the first priority over safety. Then at certain times, designs are altered without approvals, and improper shuttering or support systems or scaffoldings are used. As far as the schedule is concerned, we have seen that the delays in schedule could also be because of lack of finance available to execute the project. Then there is lack of paperwork to prove that the material was actually there on the site during the construction. Then all risk like weather, etc., may not be factored in the construction. For example, construction might be, say, slated to finish off by end of May, which is before the start of the monsoon, and for some reason it got delayed. So the construction plan or the safety or the design has not considered the work which will overflow into the monsoon time. And suddenly if you have a cyclone or something, then there could be a disaster. Usually we have seen that there is very less testing on site, or it is completely not done, and it is not as per codes. Usually only raw material is tested, concrete being a very special material which gets its properties on site. It is very essential to do the testing on site also, which many times is skipped. For foundations, usually very few boreholes were taken and certain decisions were taken, and non-involvement of geotechnical expert on a regular basis on site. So these are some of the common issues which you have noticed in claims, and these usually get highlighted repeatedly in number of times that we see the structures. Usually surveyors engage us when the quantification of loss has to be determined for a civil structure. There is a root cause of failure which is not clear. When there are multiple causes, that the structure is old also, and there was a cyclone also, and there was a flooding also, something like that. So then it is not very clear what has caused the maximum damage. If there is any possibility of litigation which is foreseen for this particular claim, if there is an involvement of structural expert from the client side and you need to have your own expert in order to counter their views, then if the loss or the claim is of a higher value, then you need a second opinion or an expert opinion. Sometimes there are disputes with the client in the settlement amount of the claim, and you need an expert to come in and evaluate objectively. Certain times there are repair estimates which are given, which also need to be verified from us. and the repair cost also need to be verified. Now these both are interlinked. If you have a repair measure which is not required, then obviously the repair cost will also be higher. So both go hand in hand. Sometimes we find the rates are higher, sometimes the quantities are higher, sometimes items of repair which are taken are also very high, which are not really required to execute the repair. So the commercial model that we follow, as I told you earlier, is basically of two types. One is we go for an initial assessment, and then we go for a detailed assessment. Unless we visit the site, we are not able to find out what kind of test and detailed assessment we have to do and what kind of information is available. For example, if you have to do a design review, is the design available, or do we have to reverse engineer the design? These are two entirely different activities. So with this sort of say two-pronged approach, you get an estimate of our services which is right-sized and which is not over your budget and which is not having anything extra which will not help you to conclude. So once our offer goes to the surveyor, they get an approval from the insurance company, and on approval they give us a go ahead. So our fees are reimbursed by the insurance company to the surveyor who pays us. So normally these are the four phases that we work in. There's an inquiry which comes with the survey report. Our offer is submitted for the initial estimate, and to find out what is the scope, we have to do an initial estimation for which there is a nominal charge that we put. And then there is a project execution with 3 or 4 phase-wise billing. Usually it is for the extensive visual observation done at the site, the design review if necessary, testing, and the rectification estimate or reconstruction. Finally, we do a sign-off with the surveyor and the client, and once the technical report is given and accepted, our scope is complete. The settlement of the claim and the salvage value and inclusion, exclusion, and discussion with the client on the actual value, that is all taken care of by the surveyors. We usually don't have a role in that. So the advantages that Aryan brings when we work with the surveyors is like multifold, because over here, we, as I have already told you, we have no stake in the manufacturing or execution. We don't manufacture any material, we are not into contracting, we rarely do any new design. So we give a complete third-party view of auditing each and every matter. Second is repair and reconstructions are based on standard rates, which are referenced from either government sources, market sources, and so on. We also factor in where the site is and what could be the impact of the price with some indexing at that local area. If the site is in a very difficult to reach hilly area, then that is also taken into account. We are able to analyze very complex factors which are segregated and analyzed by us. Our laboratory, as we have said, is NABL, so it can stand any third-party scrutiny. We give detailed takeoff sheets to verify the quantities. So anybody who has basic knowledge of say geometry or basic knowledge of quantification can check the quantities which we have taken. If there is any sort of quantity which we estimate based on the test result, the basis of arriving that quantity is also explained. So it's a very transparent system. We have a very efficient team for fast turnaround of the project. We basically cover all technical aspects, and full or partial repair or reconstruction is clearly specified. We will not give a fence-sitting report that you can interpret it either way. And our standard process and methodology is set. So consistently, year after year, for the last 15 years, we are able to give consistent output. So now we come to the end of the presentation over here, and these are the contact details that we have. You can reach me on my mobile number. It is also on WhatsApp. We believe in transparent sharing of data, of contact information with all our clients. There is a special form that we have created on our website, which is aryans.in/claims. Once you go to that form, you can enter your inquiry over there, which is our landing page. You can reach us on email also, and my mobile number is right here. So with this, the presentation part is over. Now, if there are any kind of questions that could come, I will be very happy to answer them.
So thank you, Mr. Limay, for this wonderful insight about this structural analysis. I will request member that today we are going to take a live session, so you can raise your hand so I can unmute you and you can ask the question. Mr. Limay, there is a one question from the participant that can you brief us about your methodology, how you are analyzing the things? It's a overall view only they wanted to ask.
Correct. See, actually what happens is many of the say technical experts rely mostly on the visual inspection. But there are a lot of things which cannot become clear only by visual inspection. For example, you go to a doctor and you ask, how fit am I? Just by visual inspection, they can make out something. But the moment they put a stethoscope, they will start measuring a blood pressure, they will check the blood sugar, they will do some tests. Then they have got numeric data in order to assess. So our methodology is basically doing number of tests on the structure, both in affected area and non-affected area. If the entire building has got a problem, then there will be some area which is usually unaffected. So once we get that comparison, we are able to find out, in the case of fire, I'm telling you, what is the extent of the damage. So we are able to find out what the incident has caused and what was the inherent say condition of the structure. For example, we got a recent claim where our tests which were done on the intact portion of the building are showing anyways very low results. So the quality of construction itself was very poor. So if somebody has only based their say conclusion based on the test done on the affected part, then it could be misleading. So depending upon the site, the type of structure, we do a number of tests which are very specialized to normal tests which are done on concrete, like core test, then our UPV test, then there is a verticality test, deflection test, so that we get numeric data to give our conclusion. Just doing it on visual basis may not give you the right answer. So once the condition of the structure is sort of established, it is called condition survey or condition survey assessment. Then only we can go to the next step. That is it that it looks like a design problem, or is it that it looks like a execution problem, and so on. So this is an involved matter. It always varies from site to site, but our 80% of the inference is derived from the test data. And then this test data becomes an input to the model that we create. For example, if the steel grade used itself is not up to the mark or as per specification, then the model will start behaving in a different manner, what we find out from the site. So if we just assume a certain concrete grade or a steel grade or a certain type of weld, then the model will not behave properly. So the site test data becomes a very, very important input to the model that we create in the software, so that we get the right behavior and we are able to assess the impact. So is there anything else that you would like to know?
No. So there is another question, like how you are investigating the bridges.
Okay, see, in case of a bridge, normally what happens is that there could be a more than required deflection on the span. Usually for such cases, specialized investigation is needed, because one is this defect that we have seen. Another usual defect is that the bearings that are there, which are supporting the girders, there is usually some kind of problem there, or there could be a problem with the pier or with the foundation. So depending on the defect that has been observed or the case which has been there, either it's a tilt or a collapse or whatever, then the relevant investigation or test is done. For example, it does not happen so much, but if there's a scouring of the foundation, the entire bridge can also get washed away. Now, this cannot happen because of anything which is on the superstructure. It has to be something with the foundation. There has to be some problem with the foundation because of which the entire bridge got washed away. Sometimes we get access to the structural members. Sometimes it is not possible. So based on available information and available site access, we have to come to a conclusion of anything which is related to bridges. A few years ago, we did a very large flyover, which was not able to be handed over by the execution agency to the client because they could see certain cracks. And on detailed investigation, we found out that these cracks are nothing to do with a structural issue. These are normal cracks that could happen and they are not affecting the stability in any way. We could prove it that way. So our experience of doing very large number of assessments across a wide range of structures actually helps. So that's all I have to say on this.
Great. So we have some live questions. I have already unmuted Mr. Prasun Dikshit. You can ask the question.
Right.
Mr. Prasun Dikshit, you are there? Or Mr. Omkar Rath? Mr. Sanju Arya?
How to self-mute yourself, sir?
Mr. Kamal Biani?
Yeah. Good evening, Sachin sir. Good evening, Devan sir.
Saji, boliye.
Devan sir, as briefed by you, first stage of or one of the assignment which you generally carry out is a condition survey post loss.
Correct.
Suppose I want a further opinion on whether that condition survey is commensurate with the kind of the incidents or the kind of the goods which are reportedly burnt in that fire. Will you do that broadly? Whether where we find that there is a broad discrepancy in that.
Actually, what happens is whenever there is a fire, it usually depends on the type of material stored, the quantity of material stored, and the duration of the fire. These are the three broad parameters of a fire. So based on our experience, we know that certain combinations cause more damage to certain parts of the structure. So once we get the floor plan of what was stored where and what was the quantity and what was the duration of the fire, when did fire brigade come and when it was put out, we are able to get a general idea of what is the damage, what the damage should be. And if the results of the test don't correlate, then there is something else. Either the material was different, or the quantity was different, or the duration of the fire was different. So then we go into the deeper analysis of what is to be done. So broadly, these are the factors that we consider.
So you can comment on that heat load also. Means broadly, if there is a wide discrepancy in that, going by even by our eye estimate also, so you will be in a position to comment on such things.
Correct. Actually, what happens is that if it is a steel structure, then the damage is very evident. But if it's a concrete structure, concrete is inherently like an insulating material. So the damage is not very fast and very apparent. So once these kind of multiple tests are done, if there's a very big discrepancy, it can be easily highlighted. There is no problem with that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And just one more thing to add. In certain cases, fire causes explosions. Especially if there is oil or any kind of chemical, which is a thinner or a paint or such kind of things are kept, it could cause explosions. That explosion impact can also damage the structure. So in that case, the structure shows a very different pattern due to explosions. It is not only due to fire. Say for example, it is yarn which is burning. It will usually not explode. But if it is a paint thinner and drums of oil kept, then there's a chance of explosion also.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we'll go for the next question, Mr. Sharma. You can unmute yourself, or Mr. Sanju Arya. Yes, you can ask.
Hello, sir. Can you share the slides you were sharing?
Yes.
Which slide?
Which slide do you want to see?
Whatever you are showing today, can you share all this detail?
Yes, I
No,
have.
Sanjeev Arya ji.
Yeah, I have shared it with the association. I will just check if
Okay.
there is any confidential information. Otherwise, I will give them a go ahead to share it ahead as per their policy.
Okay.
Sanjeev Arya ji, all the sessions are available on the YouTube on our channel. Okay, you can see over there. Right now, we are not sharing any PPT with the members. It is only for this institute we are keeping the copy. Okay, whatever question you wanted to ask, you can ask here, sir.
No. Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So the second question, Mr. Prasun Dixit, you are there. You can unmute yourself and talk. Yes, Mr. Rajkumar.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My
Yeah, good
question,
Yeah.
am I audible, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
My question is, sir, in a newly constructed road, there is a bridge.
Mhm.
If the approach of the bridge has been washed out due to flood,
Uh-huh.
am I right? Am I okay, sir?
Yes.
Then how we can test the quality of that approach road? Is there any idea to get that whether the quality was good or not, like compaction and
See, actually, what happens is that the road which has been built, if it's a fairly new construction, lot of details are already available. For example, its all specifications are available, the work schedule is available, what kind of material came in was available, what was the material consumed is available, and then it is expected that it should withstand certain force of flood or water or whatever. So we have to check the design, if the design specifies or what was the design. And if it specifies that it should withstand the force, but in reality it has not, then it usually points out to either material deficiency or execution defect. These are the two factors which are left. If the design is okay, if the design itself has got a problem, then no say amount of good execution or good material can save it. And sometimes what happens is, like for example, we got one claim which was regarding a transmission tower. They said the transmission tower collapsed, and this was quite delayed. So on the site, there was nothing available for us to see, because we need to see the actual members, for example, of the steel girders which have got deformed or whatever. Nothing is available. Everything is cleared out in salvage and all that. So now we have to reverse engineer to find out what was the salvage value, what was the weight, and then what should be a typical tower design, and what should be its weight, and whether that much material had reached the site. So a lot of correlation is to be done in order to find this out. If there is nothing which is visible today, everything is washed out, then only indirect inferences can be taken. The second way to do it, that is only one side of the road has been washed out, and if the same contractor has done the other side also, then we check the other side in order to find out what was done, so that a similar thing would have been done on this side. So based on available information and correlation, it can be concluded.
thank you.
So does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how can we check the quality of compaction of the soil and all?
Yeah, so like normally what happens is, yes, normally there's a practice to take a bore. Like for example, we take regular cores from concrete columns to check the strength. A similar core can be also taken from the road surface. It will expose to you what are the different layers and whether the compaction has happened properly. And the soil sample can also be given to the test. inside a test geotechnical laboratory to find out whether the compaction has happened properly.
But all these things they do on the paper only, sir. No, I have seen they never actually go for testing. They simply write okay on the paper.
Correct. But whenever there is a claim and you want to investigate, that time all these tests are important because they give you the data.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So that is why any document that we get from the insured is always verified with the test data that we actually do on the site. We will never take it on face value.
So there is one more question that can you just name a few of the tests which you are regularly performing?
Okay, I will just give you a few names. One is core test, where a cylindrical sample is taken out of the concrete member and it is subjected to a load testing machine to find out the compressive strength of the core. So that gives you the idea of the strength of the concrete. Then the second test that we do is called the UPV test, that is ultrasonic pulse velocity. That is usually used to assess the surface damage to the fire affected concrete. Third one, sometimes we engage into verticality and deflection survey using total station. So any deflection, minor deflection can also be made out, and you can also compare based on the general data available whether it is because of the incident or it is because of it was an inherent issue in the structure. Then we have another test by which we are able to find out what is the temperature that the concrete has reached at the reinforcement level. Is it significantly higher in order to drop the reinforcement strength and so on? We have an on-site test because if it is a steel beam, we cannot cut the steel beam. If it's a steel structure, it is not the right idea to cut the steel beam and take a sample. It is not practical. It will damage the safety of the structure. So we have a special hammer by which we are able to do the hardness test on the steel and then correlate it with the strength. That is used mostly for steel structures. For checking the welds, we have MPT test, that is magnetic particle test, and DPT test, that is dye penetration test, are usually done for steel. If we want to assess the extent of corrosion of the structure, for steel we check the thickness gauge. We have got two which works underwater and one which works in the normal condition. And for concrete, we do half cell carbonation. These are the two tests by which we are able to assess the extent of corrosion. Because once the aging takes place, the structure becomes weaker. And even a moderate impact can also cause damage. So we have to find out whether the structure was aged and whether sufficient care was taken to restore it on a periodic basis, or the structure was simply not maintained at all. And only with a moderate impact of either a cyclone or a wind or a rain or flooding, that incident happened. So these are some of the tests that we undertake.
Okay. So I think we have answered majority questions. Members, you can take the help whenever the expert opinion required from this Aryan Stuckon. Mr. I will thank Mr. Deven Limay for today's wonderful session, a very insightful session for the members. I hope everybody has clear now with their doubts, and with this we can end today's session. Tomorrow we are coming with another session. The link for the tomorrow session we are already given. The topic is crash in aviation. So requested all the members to register themselves for the tomorrow session. So thank you, Mr. Limay. Thank you all the members. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you, sir.